Let's bring in Kellyanne Conway now, counselor to the president at the White House for us this morning. Kellyanne, good morning.
Good morning.
If you could just first react to the White House, what is the White House response to the Durham investigation now becoming a criminal investigation just days after we learned that that probe had widened?
That's up to the Department of Justice, obviously, and I would just say if people have nothing to hide about the shenanigans and malfeasance that they may have been committing in the 2016 election, then they have nothing to worry about. But I do have to wonder why the same people who put this country through 2+ years, $35 million of taxpayer money, 500 witnesses, thousands of subpoenas, the whole 9 yards in the Mueller investigation went nowhere, don't think that we should try to get to the bottom of what other people may have been doing to try to influence or subvert the 2016 election results. We already know that they were looking for a, quote, insurance policy. We already know that people like Page and Strzok and Orr and McCabe are household names now, and the country has a right to know. You know what we who were involved in the Trump campaign, I was the campaign manager, you know what we're guilty of? The best political upset in American history, in modern political history. If other people are guilty of obstructing justice or destroying evidence, we have a right to know. And I'm patient enough to let the process unfold. And I just can't believe that folks who are for transparency and sunlight and investigations and the facts first are already trying to get in the way of this.
Well, that is what you're hearing from Democrats on the issue, because as the probe was widening
they're worried.
Earlier in the week, Jerry Nadler, who's obviously chairman of House Judiciary, Adam Schiff, chairman of House Intel, they put out a statement saying that this raises profound concerns that the DOJ under Bill Barr has lost its independence, Kellyanne, and became a vehicle for Trump's political revenge. So I'll put two questions to you on that to follow up on their criticism of this. Is the DOJ being used as a tool for political retribution?
No, the point of the investigation is to make sure that the DOJ and the FBI under the Obama administration in 2016 was not being used as a tool to influence the elections. So I would actually fact check it by taking out Trump administration and putting in the last administration. Why wouldn't we want to know a year, Sandra, before the next election? Don't we have a right to know if people who the taxpayers are funding at the highest levels of our Department of Justice and FBI, if they were or were not subverting justice and trying to interfere with the elections? Again, what are they afraid of? If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to be afraid of. But there is conflicting testimony by some of these folks. We've seen some of the text messages. Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS has taken the fifth, has said very little. So what are we afraid of? And in the case of Adam Schiff, you know, I just have to say, anybody who has him on TV, anybody who listens, asks him for a public statement in the halls of Congress, ought to first hand him a Bible, remind him what it is, and have him swear under oath that he's going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This is someone who lied to America for years, lied the day before the Mueller report came out that there was evidence of collusion in plain sight, plenty of it.
So lied through a parody to Congress. So tie it all together.
Because now he's working in secret, and this is a problem for the country. We have suffered through Adam Schiff being in front of the cameras for years. The one time there would actually be a public benefit from Adam Schiff being in front of the cameras when he's having these depositions, we can't see what he's doing.
The whistleblower is being questioned by the president in a tweet. Where is the whistleblower, and why did he or she write such a fictitious and incorrect account of my phone call with the Ukrainian president? The president has pinned this tweet to his account. It's getting a lot of attention. Is it fair for the president to be slamming the whistleblower in the middle of all this?
I think the president is slamming the process, because if you get a parking ticket, Sandra, you have more due process rights than it seems the president of the United States has right now when it comes to the early parts of this investigation. Open it up. Where's the due process? Where's the right to present witnesses, to cross-examine witnesses, to present evidence, to question others' presentation of evidence? Exactly what happened with Ken Starr and with the Clinton impeachment investigation. People going back to Andrew Johnson's impeachment, that's all you need to know. There's no one alive now that was alive when Andrew Johnson was being impeached. There are plenty of people who were alive, myself included, when Clinton and even Nixon were facing impeachment. We know what looks like a fair process, and this smacks as secretive and swampy to many in America.
All right, I've got a lot more to get to here, including Joe Biden now questioning, as we have heard him before, the presence of the president's children in the White House. He says if elected, that will not happen. Here's Joe Biden.
My children are not going to have offices in the White House. My children are not going to sit in on cabinet meetings.
What's improper about that?
It's just simply improper because you should make it clear to the American public that everything you're doing is for them. And the idea that you're going to go to the extent that he has gone to have our, his children, his son-in-law, et cetera, engaged in the day-to-day operation of things they know nothing about.
So what do you think? Does the president, or does the former vice president, have a point about children of the president working in the White House?
Joe Biden is right about this. His kids are not going to have an office in the White House because he's not going to have an office in the White House. He won't be elected president. So it's a moot point. But the fact is that Jared and Ivanka don't even take a salary. Jared today will be going with the president to South Carolina as the president receives an award for his historic bipartisan action on criminal justice reform. There are men and women no longer languishing in prison today because they fully pay their debt to society and were eligible for release and reassimilation. Ivanka yesterday was in Kansas with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. She literally has flown around the world bringing money to women in impoverished areas to help develop their businesses and have the kind of economic development and freedom that women in this country know and that women around the globe crave. And yet Hunter Biden, we know what he was doing. He was on the board of an energy company, having no talent and no appreciable skill set anybody can see. Joe Biden's problem is not Donald Trump and his family. Joe Biden's problem is that he's now seen as Hunter Biden's father and not Barack Obama's vice president. Where is President Obama? Why isn't he out there supporting and endorsing his former VP?
He's going to be making
May I just say,
shortly.
God bless the soul of Elijah Cummings. He was incredibly helpful to our work here on opiates and the drug crisis. And I want America's school children to read about his story, his rise to power, and we should all join together today mourning the loss of Elijah Cummings. God bless him and his family.
And remember him this morning, and that funeral will begin about 50 minutes from now in Baltimore. We'll have that for everyone. Lastly, Kellyanne, I want to ask you this morning about this heated clash with a reporter. It apparently got very personal with you about your husband. She says that was an on-the-record phone call. The Washington Examiner is taking her back in all of this. Hugo Gurdon put out a statement saying off-the-record conversations are agreed in good faith and advanced between people known to be participating. They are not and never have been blanket coverage to shield people who pull a bait and switch, peremptorily enter the conversation, and then spend 10 minutes abusing, bullying, and threatening a reporter. Did that happen, Kellyanne? Did you bully her, threaten her, abuse her?
No, I didn't. No, of course not. And what I said is there for everybody to listen to. And a lot of reporters, particularly old school reporters, have read it and contacted me, and they have a very different opinion that Screed. Also, you really didn't, respectfully, Sandra, you didn't need to show those three things because I've already disabused everybody of what he said. I never said the conversation was off the record. I never commented on that one way or the other. Everything I said in that phone call, I've said publicly before. Every single thing. So, and I said it again. What I asked this reporter is, why do you call yourself a breaking news reporter if what you wrote wasn't breaking news and wasn't even reporting? You're writing about somebody else's, you're derivatively reporting what somebody else wrote, Bloomberg, which the president denounced in a tweet, debunked in a tweet, and then you're lazily covering somebody's tweets and something that happened 7 months ago. So I was asking her a question. I still don't have an answer.
Do you regret anything about the way that you handled that? I mean, they've released the transcript of the phone call because, to your point, it was an on-the-record call. They released the transcript, and on multiple occasions,
but I don't know that it was.
She asked to put you on the phone with her editor, and you refused, and then kept saying
because it wasn't important to me. But Sandra, hold on. I never said if it was off the record or on the record because I don't much care. She must have thought it was off the record because the reporter then says, would you like to put any of this on the record? So they're not even paying attention. I know it got 15 minutes of fame, and I know it gets them kicks and clicks, but watch my statement. Everybody should go to my Twitter, @KellyannePolls, and read my entire statement in full. Recognize I didn't say anything in that phone call I haven't said publicly before, but focus on what I did say there, that George and I agree on many big things. We disagree on many big things. None of that affects my job here, and exactly none of that is anybody's business. Okay. So there's my message again. I think that people constantly covering that is lazy, and it doesn't add to the conversation. So that's all I asked her. Okay. And then the person wrote an article where she's got the name of one of my kids wrong too, or their age is wrong. It's just lazy. I was asking.
I've got to
Are
leave
you
it there,
a reporter?
Kellyanne.
If you're a reporter, and by the way, you can't characterize my feelings unless you've met me, talked to me, and asked me about my feelings. So I called her and said, why would you characterize my feelings without even calling me to ask me about my feelings?
Kellyanne, appreciate your time this morning. We're going to get cut off. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Kellyanne Conway from the White House this morning. Thank you.